Well, look at that. It's almost 50 degrees in here already. It's about 40 outside, and the noise you hear in the background is I have my propane heater going to warm things up in here even more. And what we got to do today is we got to fix the boo-boo. And nothing ventured, nothing gained. In doing my grinding my valves, I ground this one too much. I got in a hurry and I thought, a couple more hits and it'll be fine. Well, it was only supposed to be, this is the intake manifold, intake valve. It was only supposed to be 6/1000ths of an inch, and I mistakenly said millimeters in my last video. These are thousandths of an inch, not millimeters, that we're grinding off. Well, it ended up in more like 12 thousandths by the time I got done tinkering around. So I have ordered a new valve, but I thought, well, why not just try welding on the end of that valve and regrinding it and see if I could salvage this one. I don't know if it'll work, how long it would last, or anything else, but you know what they say, nothing ventured, nothing gained. So hold on to your hats, I'll set you up on the tripod, and we'll weld this puppy up and we'll go through the process. And I have a couple other things to show you in the process as well. But I do have to cover the whole head. I think that will do it. Now we'll have to grind it down again. The beauty of the way our weather is right now, all I can do is take this out and set it in the snow to cool it down. Notice the fine precision work going into my machining. We got to get the top of that flat. Well, it's pretty flat. Now we'll see if it'll work. See if it'll go into the valve guide and see what we have for clearance or not. So now I'm going to slide this valve in there, and it does slide in. You see it coming in? Whoa. I hope I didn't take off too much again already. What I'm looking for is, this is our intake without springs. I'm looking for between 6 and 8 thousandths of an inch, not millimeters, 6 and 8 thousandths. And so I'm going to go for 7. That would be in between 6 and 8, right? You see that? 7 thousandths. So I'm going to push against my valve. And if I can get my hand to stop shaking, okay, it's not there yet. Okay, so I have shut off my heater in the interest of making this video. I'm going to slide this valve back. I'm going to put my feeler gauge down in there. Now, you listen when I pull my feeler gauge out. You hear the click? That means that the valve is still too long, and when I pull the feeler gauge out, it popped down against my lifter, or tappet in this case. So I'm going to take this out and I'm going to grind a little bit off, and we're going to do this several times until we get the right clearance. Okay, now hold on to your hat, and I have a confession to make. I'm using my little 1-inch belt sander to grind these. File didn't do the job, and it was harder for me to try and hold it flat. With my little belt sander that you saw, I was able to hold it flat. So I just touch it against that, and we'll see what happens. I have seen different people wondering if you couldn't do this, if you couldn't just add a little bit with weld. I haven't read of anybody doing it actually, and how it worked. So we're kind of experimenting here. Pushing the valve tight, and it still snaps, but it doesn't snap as loud as it did before, which means we still have a little bit more to take off. Stop shaking, George. Yep, take a little bit more off yet. I'll bring you right back. What we're looking for is for my feeler gauge to fit in there without snapping when I pull it out, and have just a little bit of drag on it. Okay, let's try it again. And here, my belt sander, I just took the burr off the edge. Now I'm going to put our feeler gauge down in there, and hold it tight, and then pull the feeler gauge out. Well, we still got a little bit of a drag there. You heard it snap when I pulled it out. So I'm going to hit it a couple more times. You hear it? Like 4 times I touched it. We've got to be really, really close right now. And we are right there. I can slide it in and out, and listen when I slide it out now. No snap. Let me try, that's 7 millimeter, let me try a 6. 7 millimeter, 7 thousandths. George, keep your head between your shoulders. 7 thousandths of an inch. We're going to go for a 6. Here's a 5. Okay, can you see that? 6 thousandths. We'll see how that one works. Between 6 and 8, 7 seems pretty good. And if the 6 is good, then we're going to leave well enough alone. We're going to put this back together. It's a little bit loose, but the 7 was good. So we're calling this one good. Now, the next thing I wanted to point out to you is the 2 valves are different in here. The intake valve and the exhaust valve are not the same, not only because they're not the same size, but also because they retain the spring in a different way. I had shown you the exhaust valve retainer before, where it used 2 retainer clips. Well, let me show you what we do for an intake manifold. Let me give you a plain background so you can see what I'm talking about. You see that? This is the retainer for the intake valve. It has that oblong hole with a larger size on one side and a smaller side right there. And the way you put this one in is this one goes in and you actually put it in off, and then as it's compressed down, then you pop it over into the middle and it holds itself in the middle, unlike the other one, which uses the retainer clips. So that's the difference between the intake and the exhaust valve retainers. So I'm going to put this back in, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it with you right here in place or not. I have to pull my valve back out. I put the valve spring down in there. Now the problem is I have to get it past my tappet, and to get the tappet down, that's as down as far as it's going to go, so I'm going to have to squeeze this puppy back to get it past my valve tappet before I can slide the valve into it. I'm not a professional at this. I've done these on automobiles, but you have a lot more forgiveness in an automobile than you do on these things. There we go. I get it down over my valve tappet now. Now I'm going to slide my valve back in. Through the valve seal. Can you see that going in there now? Now I've got to put my valve spring compressor on there and set it off center and then pop it up once I get it where I want it to go. See if I can do that while you're watching. You guys make me nervous. I want you to know that. Now, question is, what did I do with my valve spring compressor? You guys think I'm going to see this in here. Right, that's some prayer. Not that sure. We go. You don't care. You don't have to turn out and do that. I cycle my mouth. Should not do it. Like, do that. Hold that. Yep, and I lost it. Well, I'm going to tinker with it. You're going to have to tinker with it when you do it on your engine too. I'll bring it back when I got it on. How's that sound? Okay, so now you can see that there is a notch on the top of that valve spring keeper right there, and that indicates where the locking section is on that keeper. So when you get this going in, it will go into the bottom half of that keeper, and then when it gets to that point, you just merely push down on the valve and that keeper and it locks itself in. And when it actually went together, it was quite easy to do. All right, guys and gals, it's we're back at it, and we're going to give it a try. I have adjusted the valves, and well, you've seen all that I did, and I have got everything put back together. Now we're going to try and start it and see if it runs any better. First thing I got to do is turn the gas on over here. I'm going to put fresh oil in it. I don't have chokes hooked up because I don't have the body on, and they sort of have to be. How am I going to hold this open? I need to hold them open, even though I need them closed to get it started, but it won't run good. Hold on a second. Now I'll wire tie them open. How's that sound? Okay, let's try this again. I've got my chokes wire tied open, so I'll have to choke them manually by hand, and that's what we'll do. I do have the throttle linkage all hooked up, so let's see what happens here. We're going to let her warm up a little bit. like we're going to run out of gas. I see air going through the tube over to the carburetor. That's okay. See what kind of temperature we're running. Not bad there. It is exhaust. That's normally going to be hotter anyway. I am not happy with that exhaust coming up through the carburetors. So I need to go back and do some more investigation. I don't see why that should be coming back through the carburetor like that. It is not popping back like it was before, and it's not backfiring like it was before. We solved those issues, but I don't think I should be getting that exhaust coming back through the carburetors. And the valves are set properly. I mean, if I have to go back and double check, it would have to be the intake leaking during the exhaust stroke to get exhaust to be coming up through the carburetors. I am not happy with that. More work to be done. It starts right up. I'm really happy with that. Starts up and it runs fairly well. But I'm not happy with that exhaust coming up through the carburetors. Well, don't know what to say about that. If any of y'all have any ideas on why I'm getting that exhaust coming back up through, I'd really appreciate it. Other than that, I'm ready to continue on reassembling the goofy cart, putting it back together. I had the bottom case of my transmission at the machine shop this week, and it's all done. This is the top case that we'll be using. The bottom case I am having machined so that I can use not only the thrust washer at the bottom, but thrust bearings on the bottom as well. I'll be bringing an update on that. We'll get the transmission put back together. We will be using the 3-speed, and this is the top. This is the top off of the 5-speed, but they're both the same essentially. But I've got this one all cleaned up and ready to be put back together. And well, that's it for today and all these updates. George still has more homework to do. I just don't understand it. Just don't understand it. That's the way it is today. Thanks for watching, commenting, subscribing, thumbs up, sharing, all them good things. Till next time, bye for now.